everybody, and welcome back. We have had quite a few of you people actually ask us how we specifically find the coins that we use for grading. As you know, we use NGC primarily for our grading service. You, of course, can use PCGS, NGC, pretty much anybody you like. We would suggest that you use PCGS, NGC, or ANAX because they're considered sort of the quote-unquote top tier of grading companies, and they're the ones that are going to hold their value the best and going to have the most, usually the most stable values. They're known to be consistently not undergrading coins, consistently not overgrading coins, things like that. They just have basically the best track record. For us, we like NGC because for a lot of things like error coins and stuff like that, their prices are a little bit better than PCGS. And also when you grade through NGC, as far as the different tiers, which we'll talk about in different videos, probably episode 3 or 4, where we actually discuss the different tiers that NGC has, which is sort of similar to PCGS. There's going to be a tier that's called modern coins. Now with modern coins through NGC, that's anything 1955 and up. With PCGS, it's 1965 and up. So it gives us a little bit more area going back in time to be able to grade coins. So like, let's say we were going to grade this 1955 proof set that I got from Saca Plata. Okay, so now with these, if we got these graded through PCGS, it would cost a little bit more. I don't remember the price offhand, but these aren't considered modern coins through PCGS. With NGC being 1955 and up, these are considered modern coins, so these would be the $20 plus shipping and handling per coin to get graded. So that we kind of like, that's kind of nice. In fact, this 1955 proof set we probably will get graded because we haven't gotten anything like this graded, and we kind of think that this Franklin might go cameo, but we're not sure, which would be super cool. The reverse would definitely go cameo. Where we have a question is the obverse. The obverse is a little iffy. But anyways, that's for a different video. I mainly wanted to concentrate today on how we would select the newer quarters to be graded, which ones we would actually have graded, because these don't really have pictures that's supported by what's called photo grade. PCGS, NGC, different companies. In fact, several websites have what's called photo grading. With photo grading, they'll take specific coins, like let's say you're looking to get a Washington quarter certified, okay? Get a Washington quarter graded. Now, what they'll do is they'll have different pictures through the grading scale, all the way from 1 through 70, so that you have an example of every single grade. So, like, let's say you think that your Washington quarter is extra fine. So you can actually look at that extra fine section of the photo grade, and I'll show you guys kind of how they work the photo grade, and we'll also talk a little bit about the different grades in the grading scale. But anyways, what you'll do is you'll take that picture on the internet and you will compare it with the coin that you actually have. And you want to look at different specific points on the device. I mean, we're talking about, how much the tail feather is worn, how much the eagle is worn, every little thing. Basically, with photo grading, you're literally matching your coin to the different coins that you see in those pictures. And that gets you a pretty good idea of what your grade should be. I mean, now, naturally, once you get up to mint state coins, it's a lot different. Mint state coins are a lot harder to figure out the grade on than circulated coins, mainly because that starts to come in, a lot of different things start to come into play, such as, bag marks, the quality of the strike, and all that stuff will play into how good of a grade you get. But anyways, going back to the point, American Memorial Park W, West Point quarters, these don't have any photo grade pictures. So in doing that, in wanting to do the American Memorial Park quarters or any more modern, national park quarter, state quarter, things like that, where there isn't really photo grade available, you kind of have to really know the design of the coin and what you're looking for as far as strike and how good the strike quality is going to be, and where those details that should be there might be missing on a poor quality strike or a strike that's been done with an older die state. Another good idea to do is to go on eBay and see what coins have been graded at, what they look like. Like, let's say you go to eBay and you look up American Memorial Park NGC graded mint state 66. Compare the pictures on eBay, which eBay has a pretty good high quality pictures now on there, so long as the seller has given them those high quality pictures, of course. Compare what those coins on there look, how they look to the coins that you have. Another great example is just go on the internet and search, PCGS mint state 66, PCGS mint state 67, things like that. You can actually go on PCGS's website and look at the specific coin, although they're a little bit behind on a lot of the newer national park orders, but you can look at those and click on it, and they'll actually have really nice quality pictures of the examples that they have graded. So like mint state 68 West Point Lowell, they could have a picture of that and just kind of compare, go through it and take a look at it. But I'll give you guys examples of that. I wanted to also go through these American Memorial Park quarters for the grading example because some of this roll was discovered in uncirculated rolls, boxes of uncirculated coins. Some of these have been found in boxes of circulated coins and customer wrap rolls. So we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to look at the different levels of circulation, how to identify circulation, and to see what would be circulation and what would be considered things like bag marks, planchet imperfections, stuff like that that was there when it left the mint. But anyways, let's go to the scope real quick, and we will take a look at a few of these American Memorial Park orders. Okay, before we go to the scope, we're going to go ahead and take a look at these guys as kind of like an overview style. We're going to just pretend for a minute like these are the ones that we have gone through and discovered to be the best possible quarters. These are going to be sort of our controls right here. I'm going to show you these guys because a couple of these guys are circulated and or damaged. These guys right here are the ones that we're going to say are our best quarters. Now, typically what you would do is you would go through every single one of these American Memorial Park W quarters and see which ones you think are the best. Take your top 5, top 10, whatever, whichever ones you think are the best quarters, okay? We're going to act like these are our 5 best so far, so we're going to have to put these guys under the scope and see if we think one of these is good enough for grading, whether it'll catch a 65, 66, or, if we're lucky, even higher. Before we get to that point of the scope, of course, we always use this bad boy right here. You definitely want to get a hold of a good quality loop. Good quality loop is absolutely invaluable, worth way more than its weight in gold. This will get you to this step right here, where you're actually throwing things under the microscope and fine-tuning it. This is where the OCD really comes in. We're not talking about obsessive compulsive disorder. This is obsessive coin disorder right here, because I personally have been known to scope, like, let's say the same 5 coins here for hours to see which one I think is the best one to send to NGC. And I mean, it's your money, so you might as well get the best bang for the buck and spend the time in obsessing over these suckers and seeing which one is going to give you the best possible grade as far as you can tell. But anyways, let me go ahead and show you guys a couple different examples of what would be circulation over non-circulated coins. Alright, now for us, one of the best ways to determine whether a coin has been circulated or not in a very quick way is this right here. So let's assume that we didn't get these coins, or some of these coins, out of uncirculated rolls from a uncirculated box from the bank. Let's say we got all these from circulated rolls. A good example of some time where this might happen would be where, you're $50 roll hunting. There could be plenty of things in there like Nifsies that had just hit circulation where they don't really show any signs of circulation. But the best way to tell is this right here. If you look at this coin we can tell right away was found in circulation because it shows what I call, and Keith calls, a little bit of rub. See how the finish actually has a little bit of a dull sheen to it as opposed to being bright and almost, you know, like it doesn't pop out as much. It just has like an overall dull silvery finish. This is from it being in people's pockets, you know, going up against people's clothing in their pocket, you know, their pants, their whatever, people rubbing them with their fingers and stuff like that. It just starts to get a little bit dull. Under this microscope, this is the pluggable microscope that I use for pretty much everything, literally, including when I show you guys coins under the microscope on our other videos. This thing is invaluable. The LED light really makes all of these imperfections pop, so we can kind of tell before we even actually look at the coin under the scope itself on the computer. Now, if you take this coin, which we know is circulated, and we compare that with this one right here, side by side, you can see a pretty dramatic difference. This one has never been circulated. This is one of the coins that was pulled out of an uncirculated roll. This one, circulated. And you can see how this one's way more dull than this guy right here. This one has a shine that just kind of pops out to you. So, I mean, that really eliminates this coin immediately from going to NGC. Now, of course, if this is an extremely valuable coin, this coin has an error, a variety, or whatever. Naturally, if this was a Denver strike and this was a West Point strike, we're going to get this one certified first because this one's going to have a little bit more value, and it's going to be, of course, a little bit more rare than this Denver strike. But both of these being W's, this one goes away, and this one is going to be our test subject. So this could be one of the coins that we're going to use for our little elimination series, if you will, where we have 5 different coins that we're going to see which ones we're going to catch the best grade on. And also, for the first time in my life, I finally remembered to try to make the cursor a little bit big so you guys can actually see it. So let's hope this helps. I might actually look further into that to see if I can maybe change the color or something like that, but until then, hopefully this is a little bit better for you guys. But anyways, I digress. So, in looking at this coin, again, obviously, much lower end of the scale when it comes to a mid-state coin. We have noticed that on the American Memorial Park quarters, the biggest places that get hit are, of course, and well, with pretty much every coin, going to be the ones that are the highest. So if you look at her arm, I mean, this looks absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. And all of this stuff occurred after the mint had struck it, but before it got to the bank. So this is from being in a bag with other coins. You know, if you're going through mint sets and doing that, that could be from mishandling and also from the mint, because sometimes those were in bags as well, depending on the year. Sometimes they were stored in bags before they were put into mint sets, things like that. But anyways, you're definitely going to find right here, the arm, going to be one of the biggest points of pickup for damage. These steps a little bit, but not as much. These guys right here, the flagpoles, are really hard to find without any kind of damage on them. I mean, they're extremely hard to find without damage on them. But looking at this coin on the reverse, this is literally like a mint state 62, maybe 61, 63 coin. This is the lower end of a mint state coin. Now, if we take a look at the reverse, pretty much the same concept. I mean, I don't know if this was the bottom of a bag or what was going on, but this is not a good quality coin. Of course, it's a West Point, so it's going to have more value than most of the other coins, but you also have to think about waiting for that price to stabilize. As more and more of these coins get graded, as more and more of these coins get graded in a higher grade, the more that grade and the lower grades are going to go down in value. And we've already seen a lot of the lower quarters go considerably down in value just because there's more of them out there, and once the excitement wears off, people are going to start spending way less money on them, so you got to really consider that. This being not a low quarter, which of course would be the very first quarter ever struck at West Point, and this being one of the, you know, subsequent ones, which I think this was the second one struck, or second series struck by West Point, not going to hold as much value, and it's just not a good idea to get this thing graded when it shows this much mint damage. It's just, it's not pretty, not worth it. You can do much better. Now, if this coin has some sort of sentimental value to you, again, as we've stressed many times before, whether your dad gave this to you, your mom, or whatever, get this thing certified and keep it. It's not always about money. All right. Coin number 2 of our fictitious 5 in our little elimination series here. And we're starting to look a little bit better. We're getting closer to finding our unicorn. Now, again, if we look at these flagpoles, there's still going to be some damage on these, but nowhere near anything like what was on that other coin. There's a little bit of stuff on her face, not too bad. The arms look way better. As if, you know, I mean, if you remember coin number 1, it was not pretty at all. Almost resembled a circulated coin. In fact, in reality, I mean, it could have been a circulated coin. If you found it somewhere else, you would probably guess that it had been circulating for a while. But I do know for a fact that we pulled that out of an uncirculated roll. So who knows, again, what happened to it. Bottom of the bag or whatever. This one, we're getting a little bit better. Got a little bit right here in front of her face. There's a little bit of a nick right there. Could be just a slight bag mark. But overall, so far, not a terrible coin. You also want to look at the rim. This right here, to the right of islands, that almost looks like it could have been a planchet imperfection. Planchet imperfections will not count against you as much. They will count against you a little bit when it comes to eye appeal, which we'll talk about that a little bit either later in this video or in a later video itself. But they will count a little bit. But that's definitely not a bag mark. That's some sort of a planchet imperfection or something else, not a bag mark. But anyways, you definitely want to look at the rim itself as well. And as you can see, this has a fairly clean rim. Not too bad. Circulated coins, you're going to find that typically the rim is the very first thing over and above raised things like this arm and her face and these flagpoles and stuff like that get worn and or damaged. So this one so far, not too bad. There's a little bit of a something right there through her hair here and right here, but not terrible. Obverse, let's take a look at what we've got here. Of course, Washington's face is always a difficult one for us because this is where you always find the first bit of damage on the obverse of pretty much any Washington quarter, honestly. Not too terrible. And then we've got a bag mark right here, and this is definitely a bag mark because you can see a hit here and then a hit right here. That's actually from reading of another quarter. That's from traveling inside of a bag with other quarters. Same thing right here above we. That's definitively a bag mark. These here through the letters of In God We Trust, probably bag marks as well. You won't see the reading defined, of course, because they are such a small detail. But more than likely bag marks. $quarter, yep, same concept. Couple of hits. And then if you look at this right here, this is the very first thing that should disqualify a coin for you for getting certified. Again, unless it's, you know, a valuable coin to begin with. I mean, we're talking a really good value. Like, we're talking a fairly top-tier error or a variety or whatever. This is crimper damage. That is considered damage by any of the grading services. Now, it's sort of up in the air whether or not they will give you a grade on this or not. If a coin is considered damaged, they will give you what's called a no grade. If you ask for it, you can get a no grade where it'll actually just say that it's genuine. So let's say they decide this is a damaged coin. They might not count this one because the bag mark isn't that bad unless you find some more around the rim. That's not a bag mark, it's too far in. Or not a bag mark, I'm sorry, crimper damage. But it looks like the only crimper damage that we really have here is this right here. So let's assume the grader wants to count this as actual damage. What this grade will come back as is it's going to come back as damaged with mint state details. So they won't give you a grade, an actual grade on the grading scale of 1 through 70. This won't come back a mint state 64 damage. This will just come back as having actual details, just the details of whatever specific grade it might be. So this one for us would disqualify it immediately. Plus, it's a mint state coin. It's not terrible, but this is probably, if it didn't get the damage designation, this would probably be at best a mint state 64, maybe even a 63. I would say probably a mint state 64. That's not necessarily a bad grade, but I mean, we're looking for the best of the best here. We're searching for the unicorns. This would be best served in a Dansko album or something like that, where you're trying to complete a set. Alright, to speed it up a little bit so you guys don't get too bored of me talking, droning on and saying and all that fun stuff. We're on coin number 3, looking for our unicorn. Okay, our best American Memorial Park quarter to get certified. This one again is going to show the similar signs as most of them. Got hits here on the arm, hits on the flagpoles of course, a couple little contact points right here, probably from other coins. Okay. Nasty contact point right here. Rim on the reverse. Doesn't look too bad. About what you'd find on other uncirculated coins. Of course, it's going to show signs of rubbing other coins. A little bit of a scrape through here. Again, probably from traveling in a bag with other coins. Obverse. Pretty much the same concept. Now, he's got a nasty hit right there through his nose. Okay, again, contact with other coins can be brutal on these mint state examples. Absolutely brutal. Got a little bit of a pit right there. That's probably from catching a little bit of reading from another coin. As far as this one goes, this one doesn't have any signs of being on the end of a roll, but this is going to be another one that's going to be on the lower end of the grading spectrum. This one's probably also going to be a mint state 64, might even go 63 because of that nasty hit on his nose. This one, I mean, it's a West Point, so you can't get too mad at it, but this is not our unicorn, not yet. Okay, coin number 4. And this one, at first blush, looks like we might be getting a little bit closer. I would worry definitely about this nasty hit right here on the rim below the B in Pluribus. But the flagpoles aren't too bad. Her face isn't too bad. And her arms pretty good actually. Got a little bit of a hit right there. But it doesn't also detract too much away from the overall eye appeal of the coin. Now when it comes to eye appeal versus other stuff as far as actual physical damage and or nicks and dings post-mint that have occurred to these coins, eye appeal counts for about 15% of the grade, and we'll talk about that a little bit further here in a minute as well, because they have different grading designations for that could be added to your actual the actual grade of your coin. But this one so far, not so bad. Obverse. Yeah, she's got a few nicks and dings and stuff here. The face of Washington has a scrape across his cheek, which we find quite a bit as well. But overall, I would have to say this coin is probably a solid mint state 64 as well. Now, in my searching through this roll, of course, or this tube, I should say, of all of American Memorial Parks, this is actually one of the best ones that we have left that has not been graded. Naturally, this isn't one of our first picks to grade because of that nasty ding here and here on the rim, and it's just not quite as perfect as the other ones that we have gotten graded. But if you were to assume that these nicks right here weren't here, and a few less of these bag marks weren't on the cheek of Washington, you're looking at a mint state 65 or 66 coin. He's also got a nasty little hit right there. But, of course, you know, they only struck 2 million of these West Point quarters, so it's not as easy to find a really nice example of these suckers as it is other coins, especially since you cannot get these in mint sets. That's going to be video number 2, where we actually find the supply of coins to look at and obsess over to decide whether or not we want to grade them. All of the different ways that we find our coins to even consider grading. But pulling these out of an uncirculated roll, they're still going to have some damage and some nastiness to them. So minus this damage, I would say this coin would be a mint state 65 or mint state 66. Let's go on to coin number 5 and see if it's even better. Coin number 5, definitely not better. As you can see here, since you've already taken some time at looking at other coins under the scope, you are starting to gain knowledge of what this coin should look like without damage and if it's well struck. So you know naturally that all of these steps right here are going to be completely horizontal, and if you find stuff going through it at an angle like this, and this, all of that you know for a fact is not supposed to be there because you don't find that on other coins. That's the biggest thing that I want you guys to take away from this little video here that turned out to be probably way longer than I had hoped it would be. But anyways, this is what you guys want to get used to. The more coins you look at, the more coins that you will be able to identify as beautiful coins, as those unicorns, without having to have the access to photo grade. That is one of the most important things that you can learn. Because someone who has an untrained eye, who's never seen this before, might think that these right here are supposed to be there in the steps. I mean, if you look at it, that's a possibility. I mean, who knows? Just going from a design standpoint of a coin. If you've never seen another American Memorial Park coin, you could conceivably think that those aren't damaged steps, that those are supposed to be there. Obviously, her arm is wrong, her cheek is wrong, and stuff like that. Obviously, flagpoles don't look like that. But it's getting used to the finer details to know what you're looking for these coins. Right here in these little pieces of architecture right here to the left and to the right. There's lines here and there's lines here. If you didn't know what you were looking at, you could think that that could be a bag mark or some form of damage. Let's say this one has this line and this one doesn't have that line. You could conceivably think that that's damage. However, if you compare that to, let's say, number 4 that we just looked at, now we're going to know those lines are supposed to be there, and those other outlines at an angle on the steps are not supposed to be there. You can see little ones here, here, and here, but always compare coins that are identical. That is going to save you eventually so much time in figuring out which ones you want to grade. I have looked at these things for hours. I mean, we're talking 10, 20, 30, 40 plus hours. So I know every single detail on this coin that is supposed to be there. Now, a lot of people could argue that you could go on the internet and look at prime examples of it. Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Absolutely. 100%. I totally agree and would recommend that. However, if you're looking at a mint state 67 or 68 coin, that coin is still not a perfect coin. That coin is still going to have some sort of damage. Something is going to be there that is detracting it, that is keeping it from that perfect score of mint state 70. Now, that perfect score of mint state 70, let's say, or mint state 67 or 68, not quite perfect, let's say that coin has a hit that goes underneath this line that is similar to this one. So if you're looking at it and you're thinking, okay, this is a really high grade coin, you see that line, you might think that your coin is supposed to have that too, or your coin is not supposed to have that. Just giving you guys some ideas as to what you should look at. Some people use proof examples of these coins, since of course those coins are much higher quality control when they're struck. I mean, they're struck numerous times at a higher pressure. The dies are prepared to a higher quality. I mean, everything, the quality control through a proof set is of course way higher than just these circulating strikes. Problem is that the design on proof dies and actual business strike dies can be different. We've seen that many times before in creating different varieties of coins, like the 1969 and 1970 dimes that have the reverse of 1968. They have that reverse of 1968 because they were actually designs. They were struck with dies that had the design of the 1968 proof set on it. So that, to me, isn't necessarily so much a good idea. They are probably a little bit closer now in modern coinage between the two, between the business strikes and the proof strike prepared dies. But I would still definitely compare apples to apples because you just want to make sure that you know for a fact what you're looking at and just educate yourself on each different style of coin. Alright, PCGS's photo grading section. Now let's say we're going to look at something like quarters. So we click on quarters and we're going to look at Washington quarters 1932 to 1998. This is what I was telling you guys about them not having state quarter and national park quarters. It makes it a little bit more difficult, but you can use this as a basis for what they're looking for. You just can't use specific design elements, of course, because these aren't the same design as the national park and state quarters, but I'm sure you figured that out by now. But anyways, you can take this, let's say we're looking at a 1957 in mint state 66 condition. This is what they're going to be looking for a mint state 66 1932 to 1998 quarter. As you can see, it's not a perfect coin because it's not a mint state 70, which is the highest of the grading scale. It's a 66. There's going to be a little bit of stuff here. So we're going to have like bag marks here and here right next to his ear. There's a few little things right here on his right here on the bust, on his neck, above his shoulder. You can click over and you can see a mint state 67. There's a bag mark right there across his neck. But overall, the coin has way less marks on it than the previous coin. Whereas you look at this one, you can see small marks, not terrible marks, but small marks here, here, right here above his, or right in front of his forehead there, along his neck, things like that. That is all the stuff that's going to be keeping it from going to this mint state 67. Way less damage basically than the other coin. Mint state 68, of course, you're going to have a little bit less. I think it goes as high as mint state 68. Yeah, this is all the nasty stuff. These are way easier to figure out than mint state coins, as I was saying before, because you're looking for very specific things. Like right here, AG03, so that's about good. A lot of the rim is close to being worn smooth, and part of the motto of In God We Trust is worn out. So if your coin does not have that completely obliterated, as you can see right here, this one has it. This is going to be G4, so it's going to be bumped up a little bit in grade. And as you go on through the line, it gets better and better. You can compare what coin you have to these coins, and you can figure out, okay, this is about the same amount of wear as my coin has. It has this amount of detail in the hair. It has this left in the motto. This much of the eye and the eye socket is left over. This much of the ponytail is there, so mine is going to be probably VG10. All the way, of course, again, through a mint state coin. Alright, here is one of the West Point American Memorial Park coins that we did get graded, and this one came back a mint state 66. As you can see here, not too much of anything through the arm, so that checks out. That's pretty nice. Sorry about the glare. I'm going to have to kind of move it around so you can see it. That's one of the downsides of these scopes, is those LEDs are not very well suited for looking at things that have been certified, or even a 2x2 for that matter. But anyways, got some contact through here on the stairs. A little bit of contact on her face, a little bit of contact through the flagpoles. So it is showing signs of being damaged post-mint, but not circulated. That's the biggest point of this whole thing. These things ride in bags, they're going to get hurt, they're going to get damaged. Obverse, same concept, few little things here and there. Nice little strike on his head right there, also a bag mark. Couple little nicks through there and there and there. Alright, but this one was certified as mint state 66. Something else that you guys should consider too, that I really want you to take away from this video, that hopefully wasn't too boring, hopefully I didn't say 1,000 times too many or drone on too much. I really want you guys to take away the idea that you want to attempt to mentally undergrade the coins in your head. If you've got a coin that you're almost absolutely positive 110% is going to come back as a mint state 66, and it's worth you getting graded, whether it's going to be worth the money and beat the cost of getting the coin certified, in this case a modern coin, which would be 20 bucks plus shipping and handling. Shipping there, of course, and shipping back. Or if it's a sentimental coin, which doesn't really matter either way. But if you think this is a mint state 65 coin, which at the time I'm pretty sure I thought this was a mint state 64, 65 coin, you're never going to get disappointed if it comes back a mint state 66. Always mentally undergrade your coins. That's one of the biggest pieces of advice that me and Keith can give you. If you undergrade it, you will not be disappointed. Especially if you sit there and have stared at the same coin for like 6 hours like I do all the time. I mean, if I'm going to spend our money to get a coin graded, I want to make sure that it's going to get at the very least what I think it's going to get. But anyways, guys, that's it for now. I'm going to have at least 3 more episodes of this subject. Next time I'm going to talk about the different grading the different grading levels from 1 through 70. I'm going to also talk about the different tiers that NGC has for grading, whether it's modern coins, whether it's error coins, whether it's varieties, and we're talking about the different prices and all that fun stuff, and also the different tiers of the membership, which you have to have before you get a coin graded, unless you have it graded through a shop that is a member of NGC, PCGS, or whoever your preferred grading service might be. But anyways, guys, until next time, again, hopefully I didn't bore you too much. Love you all, God bless, and we will see you very soon.